Hi, welcome to, 3D with Pecan Tree Design. Uh, 3D with Pecan Tree Design came out of me being a content creator and woodworker over on YouTube, Instagram, and various platforms. I purchased a 3D printer recently in an attempt to do a little bit more. I got the Bambu Labs X1 and wanted to make things for the shop like battery holders and tool holders and accessory holders and things like that, as well as a few things for around the office to help with organization, maybe a few fun things as well. Templating, I thought it'd be great for templating too. Making custom parts for things like these little thumb screws here that I made. But we'll get into that. So yeah, this channel is going to be that journey for me as far as like exploring 3D printing, getting into it. This is the first 3D printer I've ever had, the first 3D prints I've ever done, and the only experience I've really had with it before this is in Fusion 360 modeling projects for clients and furniture and building office builds and stuff like that. So yeah, this video series is going to be more of a straightforward vlog series about that journey with the 3D printing. You can hear it running behind me right now. That print I'll talk about next week, but this week we're here to discuss, really this is the first 2 weeks that I've been doing this as of yesterday. And let me get right into it. The first thing I printed was not a benchy. It was actually this little Spartan guy here. Just went through the little menu. I thought he was kind of cool. I had green filament. When I ordered my X1, they send you 3 filaments with it. One of them was green, one of them was carbon fiber, and one of them was a support filament. And I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of like an army guy. So I went with him. Then I went scrolling through the handy app looking for what my next print was going to be. And I kind of wanted like a SD card holder of some sort because I have a lot of SD cards from shooting video. Whenever I was going through that, I came across this guy again. I did not realize he's an SD card holder. He's got a little slot. He'll hold your thumb drive for you right there in the handle. And then across the front of his shield, there's these little slots, which I just thought were battle damage or something. But it's actually intended to hold your SD cards. So there you go. A little warrior holding your SD cards, and I don't know, it kind of brought me a little joy. I haven't printed off an SD card holder just yet because I got distracted. I printed off a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's see here. The second thing I made was this little, what do they call it? Voroni cat. It's like a mesh looking thing. Printed off one of those for my wife, just to kind of like, again, get my feet wet with it and do something different. And I wanted something I could print the black carbon fiber filament with to kind of get a feel for it. So I printed that, and then I printed a box, which I have right here. They call it Gridfinity box, and it'll actually hold all the sample cards that you can print off of your different filaments. So it makes a little sample card, and then it's got like the layer thicknesses here, and you can kind of see the color in person, which is nice, and you can kind of see it in more than just the filament. So yeah, I've been printing these off every time I get a new filament color. I'll print a new one of these off to go in here. And you can see I've got labels ready to go for the other filaments that I just haven't cracked open yet. So yeah, I made that next, and then I made a bat cat mask. We've seen them on Instagram and TikTok and all over the place. People put this little mask on their cat. The cat looks up. He looks like Batman. My cats were not amused by it and did not play very well with me when it came to putting the mask on, so I didn't get very good. They didn't play along with it and immediately kicked it off. I think you need a more chill cat for something like that. And then after that, I made a couple of DeWalt and Ryobi battery holders. I'll show them here, as well as a few of these little Govee lights. I have Govee lights on the house. We do those for holiday lights year round. They stay up all the time. A couple of them started falling down because the adhesive that they use is just like this 3M tape adhesive, and it doesn't stick for very long, especially here in Texas where it gets to be like 110 in the summer, so all that flex back and forth, they're going to fail, and sure enough they did. So I made these, I found these and printed these off, and they snap over the light, and then you just screw them down and it holds the light down. And then there's these here for the extensions of the line, so if you have long runs of line, you can hold it up against the fascia of your house. So yeah, printed those off as well. Went around the house and tied down any that were loose. I think I'm gonna print off a bunch more and go around the house and just shore them all up and play it safe that way. After that, I had to make a poop chute for the printer because it was just coming out the back, and I wanted to collect it so it doesn't make a big mess. So I made one of the poop chutes for the filter. It goes off to the side now. It's got a little tray. I pull it off and I can dump it pretty easily. I like that. The Batman mask, I forgot to mention. I ran out of the carbon fiber filament halfway through because I was printing support with it, and apparently I didn't need support. I read that after the fact. That's, read the instructions, kids. So it did not need support, but I had printed it with support. And because I was printing it using the Bambu Labs support, it created the little purge tower in the back as well, and was just blowing through the filament. So I ended up using so much more filament than I should have with that, and it ran out right around the top. So you'll see that Batman helmet has just a little bit of green on the top of it because it ran out of filament, and I just switched it over to the green that the printer came with. But my son went through and he spray painted it all black, and it looks better. After that, I made a few of those desiccant holders that go in the hole of the spool. So you open them up, you pour in some of the desiccant I have back here. It's a little thing here, desiccant. It's blue and it turns pink whenever it's moist. And so I printed off some of the little tube holders for that go in the spool itself, and it'll hold them and hold them together. After that, I just printed a bunch of stuff. Like I printed several of those filament sample cards. I printed off some ring spool adapters for like eSun filament because I bought a bunch of other filament. One of the issues I had with the Bambu Labs printer is I ordered the printer and I ordered a bunch of my filament with it too. The printer came in like 2 or 3 days, really quick. That was great. The filament, however, took a good week and a half, almost 2 weeks to get here. So after I ran through all the filament, the samples that they had given me, I ordered some on Amazon, next day shipping, gotta love it, and got more filament to do more projects with. So I just started printing off a bunch of parts for it. You got the spools and more of the spool adapters for the eSun things, the little desiccant holders that go in the AMS, as well as the ones that go inside the spools. Then I found like this little Christmas tree. All that was left was the green, the carbon fiber had ran out, and the white support stuff, which you can't really use to print anything with, that's to my understanding. I haven't tried it. Maybe I should try printing something with it and see what happens. It may just be white filament, who knows. I printed out this little Christmas tree. It was kind of neat. It just kind of, the way they wrote the G code, I believe, it goes up and then it brings out a little bit, and then it brings out a little bit, and it just doesn't have anything to support it. So it just kind of lays it down in air, and at the end, it looks like a nice, fluffy Christmas tree. That's pretty neat. And then after that, I designed my first part myself. I went into Fusion 360, and my wife wanted some standoffs for some things that were hanging on the wall, so I just designed these little standoffs that were supported with 3M tape. So I got the little 3M strips, command strips, and measured those, and then made like a little standoff that's the same size as those. Put a 3M strip on one side, a 3M strip on the other side, stuck it to the wall, stuck the piece of artwork to that. It stands off the wall. It looks great. Made up several of those. Like I said, the first thing I designed, it was just a block. It was a square block with some chamfered edges. Nothing crazy. Then I made my second model. I was sitting here working on some video editing, and had my hat on, and it was kind of bugging me, so I took my hat off and went to put it down on my desk, and I just kind of got a few things on my desk now, like various prints and stuff like that. And so I didn't know where to put it. I popped into Fusion 360 and just drew up this little thing right here. Clips on the side of my desk, right like that, and then my hat can hang right in here. And so that's pretty simple. I call it the elephant because it kind of looks like an elephant to me. Simple. Like it's amazing what simple little things you can do with this, and they will change. It opens up so many options to you. It just opens up so much to you. Then I printed off another little fun thing. I found this TIE Interceptor Christmas themed Star Wars thing. Prints off flat, which was kind of neat. And then it's kind of like one of those old snap tie models. You clip off the little pieces and then you put it together. And here it is. And it's just a little TIE Fighter Interceptor thing. The wings don't hold on that great. They're a little loose, but I mean, it's really meant to be an ornament that hangs on a tree by this little pole here in the middle, so I guess it wouldn't matter anyways, right? After that, another cat mask for the kids. I found a Spider-Man one and printed that off. It looked great. It was a multicolored print, probably I think my second or third month multicolored or multi-material print. Used up a ton of filament, just like so much filament went to waste. In fact, at one point, the print stopped because the poop chute had clogged and it was overflowing. And so I had to go in and clear that out and then let it finish up the print. And I was kind of worried that the print might fail, but it ended up being okay. One of the support trees that was in the middle of because the mask kind of comes up as like an upside down bowl, and one of the support trees had fallen over in the middle of while it was sitting there because it sat all night. Because I started this thing to print before going to bed, thinking it'll be done in the morning. And probably an hour into it, because it's like a 2.5 hour print, so about halfway through, it stopped because the poop chute filled up, and the support tree that was in the middle of that upside down bowl fell over. Well, I thought at that point it's surely going to fail. It printed just fine. It finished, like there was some spaghettiing down inside of it, but once it finished printing, I think that was the support tree that it was trying to print. So once it finished, I just trimmed all that out and looks great. I don't think those masks need support. I think the filament, the way it bowls in, I think provides enough support for them. Maybe the next one I'll try without support, and we'll see how it goes. Then I made another little fun one, a Christmas tree ornament. It's Homer backing into the bush, a little meme. It's pretty fun. That was a multicolor print. Used up every color slot I have in my 4-slot AMS. But it turned out good. If I had a 5th slot, I could have done more of a full body, gave him some jeans, but I don't, so I didn't, and it doesn't. Then I made another one that I designed myself. I had made a sanding block for chamfered edges out of 2x4 back in the shop. I modeled it in Fusion 360 and printed it off in plastic. So this is what it is. And then I just glued sandpaper to the wooden one, and my plan was to go ahead and just glue sandpaper to this as well. But the more I got to thinking about it, the more I thought, on the back side here, if I just create a couple little ridges, the paper can go down in there, and then I can do 2 thumb screws and a plate that holds the paper on tightly, and then you don't have to mess with glue, and you can change out the paper pretty easily. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to redesign this to do that, so that you don't have to use glue and you can reapply paper. I think I have to make a negative that's going to go on here and hold it flat so that you get just enough of the sandpaper around it so it's not too loose. But yeah, that's my plan with this guy, is to make a 2.0, if you will. That works a little better. This is a 10% infill, so it's not much, but it's pretty solid. It's just black PLA. Then I made a couple of thumb screws for a project I got for a client. There's going to be a part of it that gets screwed down, and I thought, well, I'll make some thumb screws that have my logo on it. So the first one I made was black, just to test it out. And then I did a black and white version of it, and that looked decent. The issue I faced was I did it facing up, and so the second color was on top, and maybe it was too thin. I don't know what the issue was exactly, but it didn't fully. I'll put up a clearer picture there, and it didn't fully adhere on that black and white one. But then I came around and I turned it face down and did it again, this time with my signature orange, and that turned out a little better, except for the texture on it. It's a textured plate, and I don't think that I wouldn't do that again on a textured plate. But I finally got my shipment from Bambu Labs, and in it I had another plate that I had ordered, a carbon fiber print plate. And so I printed it again face down on that carbon fiber plate, and it's smooth now, but there are a couple little holes because it didn't grip as well. I think I needed to do more glue stick on it or something to get it to grip better. I don't know. I got to play with that a little bit more. I'm ordering a 0.2 nozzle, and I'm going to try a smaller nozzle at a slower speed and see if maybe I get better results with that. So check back and we'll see how that goes. Then I made another one for the wife. We have a Lovesac sectional couch downstairs, and it's got like the angled armrests. Well, the issue we have is there's nowhere to put your drink down. We don't have any side tables or anything like that, and she likes to sit kind of on the edge of it. And so I printed off this little cup holder here that sits on that armrest. And then you put a little cup in there. The only issue I had with this is, again, with bed adhesion. See on the back side here, this is pretty rough. And this was on a textured bed, the textured PTE bed. I don't know why it came out like that. I haven't had an issue on that bed before. I don't use anything on it. I just clean it off and run it like it is, just raw, no glue or anything like that. And this is the only time I've had an adhesion issue. I printed it again. This time I modified it so that this angled side actually comes up like that, right? And then there's a little pocket right here where you can put your phone. So she can put her phone here or a drink here, and it sits on the couch next to her. That one I printed on the carbon fiber bed, and I laid down a thick layer of glue, and it came off perfectly. The only issue I had with it is some of the carbon fiber texture was a little more pronounced than other sections. Like, it's hard to see in a picture, but looking at it in person, it's got a little bit of a wave to it. And I think that's the different thicknesses of the glue on the bed itself interfering with that. So another thing that I want to play with, I'd like to find, I think I'm going to try hairspray next. I've heard hairspray works really well. Something that I can spray down in more of a uniform pattern, I think would be great for that bed adhesion. So that may be something I try here in the future. Beyond that, just printing off a bunch of spools for, like, you see a couple spools right there. A couple of extra spools I printed off there, as well as a few that I've stored down below. For the filaments, because the Bambu Labs filaments don't come on spools most of the time, unless you order it on a spool. Some of them, though, they don't even have that option, so you have to order it without a spool and then kind of print your own. So yeah, I printed off a bunch of extra spools. I plan to print off a few more for the ABS in a gray color, so that they stand out and they're different. I opened up my first ABS yesterday, and I noticed that their ABS spool was a dark gray as opposed to the white, and I thought, oh, that's a good idea. If I color the spools a different color for each type, so your PLA's in the white and maybe ABS in that dark gray, maybe I'll do PETG in like a light gray or something like that. It'd be easy to identify whenever I look through my boxes. So that's my plan, is to do that. And speaking of boxes, I have these right here. These are Husky. Home Depot makes these Husky boxes here. They are watertight. I don't know about submergible, but as far as like the needs for us 3D printers, they work great. And it holds 4, maybe 5 real spools, depending on the size of your spools, each. And I believe they were about $15 at Home Depot a piece. So that's not a bad investment. And like I said, they hold about 5 each. I've got 4 of them, so I can hold 20 extra spools on the side. No problem. I load it down with some desiccant. Like, each spool has one of those little desiccant spool hole filler things. And I haven't had an issue. My office, though, sits in an area that is quite dry, because it's not open to the rest of the house. Only I come in here and use it. There's not a lot of water features. I don't know, something about this room, it stays dry, and it stays, temperate. So I haven't had an issue with the printer. I think the printer's in the perfect spot. It doesn't get hot. It doesn't get cold in here. It stays pretty consistent on the temperature, and the humidity stays pretty consistent. So that kind of works in my favor. As a matter of fact, every time I look at my AMS, it's at a 1. I only see it go to a 2 whenever I change out the spools for maybe 15-20 minutes afterwards, and then it pretty quickly comes right back down to a 1. So that should tell you my office is fairly dry and a temperate climate. So I don't have any issues with storing the filament. I just don't keep it out in the open. I do keep it in the boxes. I think that helps. As far as I can tell, that helps. And from what I've read, that helps. So then the last thing I made was I don't have him here because it's my son's. He's a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's, and he wanted a model of this Mr. Cupcake character. He looks like a cupcake with eyes and a candle coming out the top of his head. So I printed that off for him in a solid brown, and he wanted to paint it. So solid brown, and then he's painting the top of it, and it looks good. He's pretty happy with it. I had to print that one a couple different times because it had like a weird bottom to it. So like it's a cupcake, and then it comes down, and then it's got the little bottom part of the cupcake, but the overhang between those two isn't flat and smooth. It's kind of like ice cream, it's wavy. And so the supports, I had to bring in more supports. The first one I print failed. One of the supports fell over, I saw in the time lapse. So I added more supports and printed it again, and it worked out better that time. I don't know why the supports keep falling over. It's happened a couple times now, and I'm not sure what's causing that. The print's not being interrupted, they're just falling over. So if you got any clue as to why, please let me know, and I'll come back next week and we'll talk about what I've been doing and what else I've done and printed as far as in what this is right here that's being printed. But yeah, so if you want to join me on this journey, I'm going to discuss everything there is to discuss about 3D printing from my perspective, being a newbie. Again, this is like my second full week 3D printing, and it's been fun. It's changed so much for me. It's opened up my eyes to so many different possibilities as far as like what I can do with a 3D printer. And I'm looking forward to what I can do with this 3D printer. So hopefully you can watch and learn a little with me, and just join me on this journey, and we'll have a little fun together. Till next week, we'll see you around.